The relationship between Iran and the United States has been one of the most complex and tense geopolitical dynamics in modern international relations, shaped by decades of political conflict, ideological differences, military incidents, economic sanctions, and regional power struggles, though it is important to clarify that there is no officially declared full-scale war between Iran and the United States. Instead, the situation is better understood as a prolonged period of hostility, strategic rivalry, and indirect confrontation that has evolved since the mid-20th century. The roots of this strained relationship trace back to the 1953 CIA-backed coup in Iran that removed Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh and strengthened the rule of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, an event that left a lasting legacy of mistrust in Iranian political memory, especially after the 1979 Iranian Revolution, when the monarchy was overthrown and replaced by a republic under Ayatollah Khomeini, fundamentally altering Iran's foreign policy orientation and leading to the immediate deterioration of relations with the United States. One of the most significant early crises was the Iran hostage crisis of 1979–1981, when Iranian students seized the U.S. embassy in Tehran and held 52 American diplomats hostage for 444 days, an event that deeply scarred diplomatic relations and led to the severing of formal ties between the two countries. In the decades that followed, tensions continued to escalate through various regional conflicts, particularly during the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s, when the United States provided indirect support to Iraq under Saddam Hussein, viewing revolutionary Iran as a destabilizing force in the region. The naval dimension of this rivalry also became apparent during the tanker war phase of the Iran-Iraq conflict, when both sides targeted oil shipping in the Persian Gulf, and the United States conducted naval operations to protect shipping lanes, including the controversial 1988 downing of Iran Air Flight 655 by the USS Vincennes, which killed 290 civilians and further intensified Iranian hostility toward the U.S. In the post-Cold War era, relations remained strained as the United States imposed economic sanctions on Iran over concerns about terrorism, human rights, and later, Iran's nuclear program, which became one of the central issues in the 2000s and 2010s. The U.S. and its allies accused Iran of seeking to develop nuclear weapons capability, while Iran consistently maintained that its nuclear program was for peaceful energy purposes. This dispute led to years of negotiations, covert operations, cyber warfare such as the Stuxnet attack, and escalating sanctions that significantly impacted Iran's economy. Regional proxy conflicts further deepened the rivalry, as Iran expanded its influence through allied groups and militias in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, notably Hezbollah, and Yemen through the Houthi movement, while the United States supported various regional partners and maintained military presence across the Middle East to counter what it viewed as Iranian expansionism. A major diplomatic breakthrough occurred in 2015 with the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action (JCPOA), commonly known as the Iran nuclear deal, which placed restrictions on Iran's nuclear activities in exchange for sanctions relief. However, in 2018, the United States withdrew from the agreement under the Trump administration and reinstated severe economic sanctions as part of a maximum pressure campaign, leading to renewed tensions and Iranian nuclear activity expansion beyond previous limits. This period also saw a series of dangerous escalations, including attacks on oil tankers in the Gulf, the shooting down of a U.S. surveillance drone by Iran in 2019, and the U.S. airstrike that killed Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in January 2020 in Baghdad, an event that brought the two countries closer to direct military confrontation than at any point in decades, prompting Iranian missile strikes on U.S. bases in Iraq in retaliation. Despite these confrontations, both nations have generally avoided full-scale war, largely due to the catastrophic potential such a conflict would entail for regional stability, global energy markets, and international security, but the situation remains volatile and highly sensitive, with both sides continuing to engage in deterrence strategies, cyber operations, intelligence activities, and diplomatic maneuvering. In recent years, negotiations have intermittently resumed over nuclear issues and prisoner exchanges, yet deep mistrust persists, and political shifts in both Washington and Tehran frequently alter the tone and prospects of engagement. The broader regional context also plays a critical role, as Gulf Arab states, Israel, Russia, and China each influence the strategic calculations of both Iran and the United States, making the conflict multidimensional rather than a simple bilateral dispute. Economically, sanctions have significantly impacted Iran's currency, oil exports, and access to global financial systems, while the United States has also faced criticism for the humanitarian consequences of its pressure campaign, particularly on ordinary Iranian citizens. Ideologically, the divide remains stark, with the U.S. emphasizing liberal democratic values in regional security alliances, while Iran promotes a model of Islamic governance in resistance to Western influence, framing its foreign policy as anti-imperialist. As a result, the Iran-U.S. relationship today can be described as a persistent state of cold conflict, characterized by periodic crises, limited diplomacy, and ongoing competition for influence across the Middle East. While the possibility of a direct large-scale war remains relatively low due to mutual deterrence and global constraints, the risk of accidental escalation or proxy conflict spiraling out of control continues to be a serious concern for policymakers and international observers. Ultimately, the Iran-United States dynamic reflects broader themes in global politics, including the legacy of historical interventions, the challenges of nuclear non-proliferation, the role of regional power struggles, and the difficulty of resolving long-standing ideological and strategic rivalries through diplomacy alone, making it one of the most enduring and consequential tensions in the contemporary international system.